friends. Thanks for joining me. My name is Dawn. I'm a yoga instructor. This class is a yin yoga class. We're going to focus on flexion and extension of the spine. What you'll need for class today is a yoga mat if you have one, a bolster or some pillows, couch cushions, something like that, and maybe some blocks. That actually might be helpful. So if you have a block or two blocks or some stacks of books that you can use that can support your weight, grab those. And a blanket is, of course, always helpful. So gather up your supplies and I'll meet you back on the mat. Okay, great. Here we go. So the first thing we're going to do is half saddle. So you can take your right leg back. You have your foot just beside your hip here, and your left leg is straight. If this is not possible for you, you can also do this posture in the half butterfly, which is instead of having this leg back here, bringing that foot to the inside of your thigh. Okay? So choosing what's going to work for you. This might be too hard on your knee. So you can choose to sit upright, just like this, or if it's available to you, you can come back maybe on your leaning onto your hands, maybe leaning down into your elbow, or all the way down onto the mat. The other option, this is why we have the bolster here, is to take your bolster and lie back onto the bolster. And if that's not enough height for you, you can even take, your blocks underneath, one or two blocks, and get a little height going here for you to lean into. The main thing is you want to feel a stretch along this right thigh here, the bent leg. And with a little bit of height like that, I don't feel it. But just honor your own body. Maybe that's going to be good for you. Maybe you don't need to fold back at all. If you're sitting here and this is juicy for you, if your knee is up, pat it underneath, either with blocks or your blanket. And when you lean back, if that left hip, the hip of that straight leg, feels like it's down and the hip over here with the bent leg is up, you might want to put a blanket underneath that left hip. Just a little bit, just to even it out a bit if that feels better for you. The main thing here is having those hips aligned this way here across, so you're not one way or the other. That alignment is important. All right. Melt into your support, whether you're sitting all the way up, whether you're on the mat, whether you're on a bolster or cushions. Allowing yourself heavy on your support if you're using it. And breathe. So send that breath where you need it. Send that breath where you're feeling the most resistance, where you're feeling maybe nice and juicy. For me and my body, this is good. But if I want to get more stretch along my thigh here on that bent leg, it actually is very helpful for me to put a blanket or put some support under my left hip. And now, leave it a bit more. And now I can feel a little bit of a stretch here. So it takes me a little bit, I might even go with the block. It's a little bit higher. Just under the left. Oh, there we go. So now I can feel a bit more of a stretch here along that right thigh. The other thing, of course, is if that leg being straight is too much for you, just bend that straight leg. This is fine like this. So a couple more breaths here. Noticing how you are on this bolster or on your mat, noticing where the sensations are, noticing even where the breath lands in your body as you inhale, and where it is starting from on your exhale. Where does it seem to come from? One more breath. And then on an inhale, taking your hands, pushing the floor away from you, coming all the way up. Once you're seated, stay for a breath. And then inhale for length and exhale to start folding over the straight leg. So in this case, the left leg. So again, it's not really important how far you come in the posture. What's really important is coming to a point of resistance. We call this our edge. So if you are up here and you just come forward just this much and you feel, wow, there's a lot of resistance there, I need to stop, then it's perfectly fine. Just stay there. So as you're breathing, and you're sending the breath to wherever you're feeling it, maybe it's the left hamstring there. Just notice if maybe you create some opening. Always finding space and length on the inhales and depth on your exhales. Finding stillness. You can close your eyes if that feels okay for you. And breathe. Couple more breaths here. Noticing maybe as you're in the posture and you've come to your edge and you're breathing, maybe you notice you do have more space. Where you thought it was tight, where you thought that was your point of resistance or your edge, maybe all of a sudden you realize, oh, I can go a little further and it actually feels okay. So this is the magic of the breath. We use breath, we use gravity to get ourselves deeper into these postures. We don't pull, we don't pull ourselves in, we don't strive, we're not gripping, we're allowing ourselves to just be. One more breath. And on the next inhale, pushing that floor away from you, all the way up, settling at the top for a breath. And taking that bent leg, straightening it out. Maybe just a little bit of movement. I do find in my own body that I actually like to just kind of stay still. Feel the difference side to side. Maybe just notice what's happening. Any buzzing, any pulsing. What's my body saying? Moving the bolster out of the way if you were using one. just coming down onto your back. Staying here for just a couple breaths. Maybe 3, maybe 4 breaths. And notice if the sensations become less and less intense with every breath. And when you feel that you're back to your neutral state and ready to move on, come on up. I'm going to work on the second side. So, whatever you did on the first side, do on the second side. So for me now, I have a bolster here. Taking my left leg back this time. And then coming back down onto the bolster, relaxing into it, being heavy. So if you had support under your hips on the first side, it might be nice to try it on this side as well. And just also noticing, what are your feelings on this side? What is the difference? Do you feel the sensations the same way? Is maybe this left hip is higher than the right hip was on the other side? Just noticing any differences. All information. So I'll just show you once again. So either a blanket, you might take, your rolled up blanket, bend that knee, blankie under, is that hip here, right hip, and see if that feels better. Does it give you a bit more of a stretch on your left thigh? Or if you're like me, you might need something a bit more. There. So that feels better. Now I can actually feel the stretch here on the left thigh, on that bent leg. So the prop goes under the straight leg, and then you're feeling the stretch, the resistance on the left. The other thing you could do, if it's a bit much for you like this, is bending that right leg. Again, if you had bolsters under your prop and you're up higher, then that's do the same on each side, or you just might be on your elbows. Breathing into your thigh, breathing into the knee, breathing into the whole hip, into the back if you're on your bolster and you're leaning back. And remember that maybe you're upright, because if that is a lot of juiciness in your body here, there's no reason to lie back on the bolster. Okay, so a couple more breaths here. With each breath, sinking deeper into any support you have. If you're sitting upright, sinking deeper into the mat. And on your next inhale, coming up, settling at the top for a breath, and then folding over that straight leg, that right leg. So you might notice on this side, maybe you couldn't come down this far, or maybe you can come down right away. So each side of our body is different, and just honoring that and noticing that without criticizing yourself. It's just information. So just noticing, paying some attention. So each time you would come into the posture, and you might just remember that. And just be kind to yourself, to the differences side to side in your body. The other thing is, you come to a point of resistance, your edge here, you hold it in stillness, you hold it for time, And you're breathing. And you may notice that, oh, hey, you just felt it just a little more openly. Well, maybe you can come down a bit further. And if at any point you thought you could come a little deeper into the posture, but now it actually hurts you, pain is not good. Just come back up a bit. That's okay. So we're all learning about our bodies as we go. And learning how to listen to what the body wants. So it's going to offer us to come deeper. Sometimes we think that's what it's saying, and maybe it isn't. Maybe we made a mistake. No, got to come not so deep. But if your body does open up and does ask you to come deeper, then do that. Breathe into the sensations. Finding space on our inhales and depth on our exhales. And moving on those exhales to a little deeper. One more breath here. And then on your inhale, upright. Staying for a breath. And then straightening out that bent leg. Any movement that your body might want, whether it's just feet going side to side. You know, you might like those windshield wipers. That's fine. When we learn to listen to our body, we learn to hear our body, we instinctively start to know what feels good in our own body. It's kind of cool. Alrighty, you guys did a lot of good work. It's time for Savasana. So you can lie on your back with your legs straight. You can bend those legs, take them to the edge of your mat. Let your knees fall together here, towards each other. Constructive rest is beautiful, beautiful resting place to be. And again, the lastly but not least would be your bolster either under your thighs or under your knees. Both are good. And then laying back down. Noticing any sensations remaining in your body. Maybe noticing the intensity and just becoming aware that that intensity is less and less. Feels like you come back to you, back to your starting point. Soften your body. Allow yourself to be heavy on your mat. Notice if you're gripping anywhere to release and find just a little more softness, a little more heaviness against the mat, against your props if you have any. So remaining in your Savasana for as long as you wish, for as long as you can, and when it feels right for you, then you could come to seated and end your class on your own time. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, such a great pleasure to offer these classes to you. Namaste. See you soon.